here with your astrology forecast for the week of April 15th, 2019. It's the week of the full moon, so it's going to be a charged, busy kind of week, a very active sort of week. Maybe a little bit less sense of control than we had last week. Certainly with Mercury at the very end of Pisces for the first 2 days of the week, we may have some technical glitches, which seem to be showing up in my iMovie program. So keep in mind that we could be having some problems Monday and Tuesday as Mercury goes over the degree of his station. Okay, but then he gets into Aries, things dry out a bit. Venus gets into Aries on Saturday, and the end of Pisces season is finally here. Everything is out of Pisces for a while, and I think that's a little bit of a relief. I love Pisces. It's a great time, but, you know, a little bit much lately, a little bit much. So, in general, though, we're not really dragged back into that Piscean energy all that much. It really is a pretty forward-leaning week as we come up to the full moon. Monday and Tuesday, the moon is in Virgo. Very good time for working, focused attention. Not the multitasking that was so prominent last week. It was much more we can focus in on things. The moon makes a nice trine to Saturn and Pluto. Helps to keep our energies focused. Great time to take care of tasks that need to be done, take care of chores if nothing else, but it's really probably the most productive period of work during the week, right at the beginning, Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday, the moon goes into Libra, and we are right back to multitasking and excitement and all of these types of things. It's really going to be quite a charged time, and that becomes even more so on Thursday. I think Thursday is a time when we're moving very, very quickly, but we might encounter some little blocks as we and the moon square Saturn and Pluto. That's a little bit the feeling of like you're moving really, like, you know, like when you're driving and you're moving really fast down the highway, and you know, all of a sudden, like you start seeing some red lights up ahead, and you realize, like, wow, I don't know if I can stop in time. It's a little scary, but that's kind of the feel on Thursday. I think Wednesday and Thursday, actually, when you're literally driving, be careful. But in general, have that kind of sense of like, you know, am I going too fast? Am I moving a little too quickly on things? Got to multitask, got to handle things as they come up. By all means, that is true. But, you know, you don't necessarily want to push ahead. And, of course, it is the full moon, and emotional reactivity is liable to be relatively high. I was going to say relatively or very high. It's liable to be relatively very high. The off focus of the week, and you should check out our Relationships and Astrology YouTube channel to watch the full moon video for relationships. But a focus of this week is going to be on relationships. With Venus at the very end of Pisces, there could be some wistfulness, some looking backwards, a little bit of sadness that is part of the picture. But Venus is very active and has been very active for the last couple of weeks. So the real sense of things is that stuff is starting to move in relationships. If you're in a good relationship and things are kind of going well, just have a good time, enjoy it. It should just be a nice time. It's good for getting out, socializing, having some fun. If you're trying to get a relationship off the ground, this is a time when, well, I would say the full moon is probably the time when you would sort of see whether or not your efforts are coming to any sort of success or not. And if your relationship is in a vulnerable spot, well, that's when you might be feeling a little bit of stress and strain, and you know, you might find out exactly how. I don't want to use the word bad, but you might find out exactly how bad things really are at this time. That's really true all the way through Friday and Saturday, too, because Venus does make some aspects on Friday after the moon is technically full, and even coming into Saturday, right before she goes into Aries. Once Venus goes into Aries around midday Saturday, I think that there's a much more upbeat, outgoing, playful. It's like, okay, well, whatever has come beforehand, and we're ready to get a fresh start. And that's particularly true in relationships, but it's also true in creativity, and it's more or less just true in terms of socializing in general. My sense for Friday is that the moon in Scorpio opposing Uranus in Taurus as Mercury meets up with Chiron. It seems like that could be a more reactive, it could be a more ouchy kind of day than even Thursday. I think Wednesday, I think, is just active. Thursday has a couple little bumps, some things to deal with. I think Friday might have some real challenges associated with it. Starts to smooth out. Saturday and Sunday have a different energy, even though the moon is in Scorpio. I know I always say this, but even though the moon is in Scorpio and Venus has moved into Aries, I think that the basic sense of it is that the Venus in Aries, Sun at the last degree of Aries, because the Sun goes into Taurus on Saturday. I feel that the real thing that's going on for Saturday is a more or less even kind of energy. Sunday also, except the thing that happens is that we're approaching the sun's meeting with Uranus, which happens on Tuesday. So from about Sunday on, maybe even from Saturday, as soon as the sun gets into Taurus, we're starting to feel that. We're starting to feel this sort of edginess that goes into it. It very much matches the feeling of the full moon. It extends the feeling of the full moon. And I think that one good strategy might be to grab a little bit of alone time. You're not necessarily going to want to be with other people the whole time. I think another good strategy is to really figure out what it is you want to do and do that thing. But keep in mind that folks are going to be edgy. This, Sunday, coming into Monday and Tuesday of the following week, 22nd, 23rd. People are going to be edgy. People are going to have that strong drive for independence. It's not really the most cooperative kind of time. So this whole full moon period is really charged for the purpose of this week. Let's say Wednesday through Sunday, really charged. Wednesday's feeling good. Thursday's got a couple of bumps. Friday's definitely got some wonky kind of energy. Saturday, pretty good. I mean, I would think Saturday's probably a pretty fun night to get out and have some fun. Sunday also. I mean, the moon is going to go into Sagittarius around midday. Go explore. Go have some fun. Go do some stuff that you feel like you want to do. But if you can't get others to, enlist for the project, go do it yourself. It's a pretty upbeat kind of energy. It ought to feel pretty good, but it's not the type of thing where people are going to have a lot of patience, and cooperation might be a little bit hard to find. So feel free to go do your own thing, and we will touch base again on Sunday next week, so that I can give you the weekly forecast for the following week, which will be just as exciting. See you then.